Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Looking to bet smarter? Get sports betting insight and winning picks straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
The favorite should be 220-ish, and here, you can lay $1.65.
So getting a plus 315 price here for this one to go to overtime. I like it.
Their strength is their defense. I like the under.
Join Sports by the Book Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific and bet your winning edge.
Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. This is Sports by the Book. If you are new here, a sports betting show, and we are live from the beautiful South Point, the infamous locals' favorite casino here in Las Vegas. Make sure you come and visit us in a couple weeks now. We are getting closer and closer to the big NCAA tournament. Next week, we are starting conference tournaments for men's basketball. 3 of them will be here in Las Vegas as well. All right, last night was a night, some ups and downs definitely for both myself and Ryan, but I'm Alex White alongside Ryan McCormick. Overall, Ryan, good night, 4-1 on the whiteboard. It's tough when you tie them up in a round robin and you're waiting on that last one. Wisconsin loses outright to Oregon. I bet you your good friend Spencer McLaughlin liked that outcome, but overall for you, kind of the same thing, a roller coaster night.
Yeah, except I did not have 4 winners. I had 3 losers and 1 winner. Did manage to get the right spot in the NBA with the Nuggets, handling the Celtics in the second half. That was a really tight first half. Celtics even had the lead going into halftime. But the Sabres were up 2-0 in that game. The Devils pulled their goalie with 3 minutes left, and the Sabres could not get an empty net. Well, Devils then scored, and the Sabres could not get an empty net back. So they only win by 1, so they win 2-1 there in New Jersey. The Kraken was not the right side at all in that game, so sorry if you followed me there. And then the Giants game, if anybody suffered through it like me, the Giants took an 8-1 lead in that game in the 3rd inning. Bottom of the 4th inning, Carson Whisenhunt is pitching, walks the first batter on 5 pitches, walks the second batter on 4 pitches, walks the third batter on 5 pitches, so walks the bases loaded, gives up a 2-run single, walks the next batter, so walks the bases loaded, and then they pull him. Guy that comes in gives up a 1-run single, so bases still loaded, gives up that was 8-4 then gives up a grand slam, so 8-8, blows the 7-run lead there in 1 inning, and then proceeds to get the next 3 batters out. So really just needed the clean slate and didn't need the pressure of having runners on, so we got out of it. And then Milwaukee took the lead 9-8 in the sixth. The Giants were given a gift, took the lead in the top of the ninth, and then blew it in the bottom of the ninth. So that one was not a fun watch after the third inning. Thought it would be good. We got our first wee of the year for any Sarah Langs fans out there. Yeah, that one was a pretty tough watch. But to kind of recap how things went trend-wise, we'll start in the hardwood. We'll go NBA favorites first in the 6 games. Favorites went 5-1 straight up there in the NBA, 4-2 against the spread, and totals were 4-2, 4 overs, 2 unders there. The only underdog to win outright was the Milwaukee Bucks, who got it done at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were a plus 130 price on the money line there. And here at the South Point, the only favorite to win and not cover would be the San Antonio Spurs, who took care of business against the Raptors in Toronto, but did not cover that 5.5. They only won 110-107, so by 3 there, and did not cover that 5.5. Going to college basketball, favorites 34-20 straight up, 30-24 against the spread, and 20-32-2 were the totals. 20 overs, 32 unders, and 2 pushes there on the totals. There were no big money line underdogs to win outright of $3 or more on the main board. There was one in the extra board, which those money line prices are not technically available here at the South Point, but that ranged from $3.10 to $4 there, with Lafayette taking down Colgate at Colgate there in men's college basketball. To the NHL, in 8 games, we had 5-3 were the favorites straight up. 5 games had a puck line covered, one of which was reverse, and that was our Vegas Golden Knights getting business done with a jokingly preseason roster there in Los Angeles. So they won as a 160 money line underdog and covered the reverse puck line, winning 6-4 there in Los Angeles. But totals 2-4-2, 2 overs, 4 unders, 2 pushes. And if you like to bet the home versus away, home won 26-24. And if you like to bet the Grand Salami, it did go over the total of 48.5, which you only laid a -105 there. And then talking spring training, the Major League Baseball games yesterday, the 13 games that there were, 5, 7, and 1 were the favorites. 9 games had a run line covered, 5 of which were reverse. And the totals went 5-8, 5 overs, 8 unders there. And the biggest money line underdog to win was the Colorado Rockies on the road in Arizona, taking on the Cubs. They won 14-7 as a plus 150 money line underdog there in spring training.
A lot to digest there. I'm going to start it off going back to college basketball. Heard you say way more favorites covering, kind of helped my whiteboard. It's, I think, the first time I've ever had 5 favorites and no dogs. But just at the end of the season now, these games are so meaningful for seeding going into the conference tournament. And trends have said those favorites at home. So we'll keep an eye on that moving forward. But, I mean, the last couple of weeks, it was always favorites winning the game, but the dogs more or less covering as opposed to the favorites covering on the spread. Hockey's back. I'm glad that you went through those trends and more unders than overs. That is one thing I took from last night. Very slow starts. The later games, we did see more goals in the first period, but the early games, I mean, a ton of under 1.5 for the first periods, kind of getting their legs under them. Ryan and I will have to decide how to handicap tonight with a ton of teams getting the first game out of the way. What do we have? 8 teams playing on a back-to-back who already played last night. So we'll talk about that when we get to our hockey segment. And last but not least, I'm sorry about your baseball bet. And baseball's crazy. And I actually watched a college baseball with my dad yesterday, who had the over in Troy and Georgia. Got his extra innings. They tied it up 5-5, and then nobody scored. Troy ended up winning that one in the 12th, 6-5. So, yeah, I mean, it seemed like everything was going to go his way. He's like, okay, don't win this, Georgia, in the bottom of the ninth. Just tie it up. But love it. If you are new or if you're just curious, this show we will be talking all hockey and all college basketball, trying to give you some smart bets with a little edge here, kind of using our own numbers and a lot of situational spots. So we're going to have Dwayne Colucci joining us. We'll see when he can pop on. Very busy over there at the resort at Summerlin. So we'll have at least a 15-minute chat with him, catching up how he's doing, and runs the sports book and the race book over there. And then we will go hockey, cover all of those games. And then I do have a few college basketball, a lot of situational spots that I do really like tonight, and keeping an eye on these teams. The mid-majors are getting very close to their conference tournament, so seeding is definitely in their minds. Some of the mid-majors don't invite the entire conference to these tournaments. Some of them are playing right now, desperation, just to try and get that last spot. That kind of fall in that must win, must not be very good. But there are some others that are just trying to play for the 4 seed to get a double bye and situations like that. All right, Ryan, I know you have more to get to before we start our actual sports betting breakdown for each of those 2 sports. We've got poll results from previous ones, and we have a new one today.
Yeah, so yesterday we gave you guys a post talking about golf and the Cognizant Classic that's going on right now, as they've currently teed off, as it is a Thursday. But we gave you the 4 favorites and which one you would be most inclined to taking to win that Cognizant Classic. So it was Ryan Gerard at 15-1, Shane Lowry as well at that 15-1, or Nikolai Hogard and Rasmus Hogard both at 20-1 there. And the majority of votes, 67% of that, would be to Nikolai Hogard being able to get it done. I don't have what the current standings are, but yeah, Nikolai Hogard was the leader in the vote yesterday at 20-1 to be the winner of that Cognizant Classic. And then today's post, which is linked in the description of the video, is talking about the Olympic Brotherhood and the actual sets of brothers that played for Team USA. Fresh off their success at the Olympic Games in Italy, which of the Hughes or Kachuk brothers do you like to score a goal tonight? So Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, Brady Kachuk, and Matthew Kachuk there in our post. And then today's poll would be looking at those teams that those brothers play for and who you would like to win on the money line. So the Devils getting plus 135 at Pittsburgh against the Penguins. The Wild getting plus 125 there on the road in Colorado against the Avalanche. The Panthers laying a minus 155 price there, hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Senators laying a minus 150 price, hosting the Detroit Red Wings. So we do want your guys' thoughts on both of those things involving our gold medal Olympic sets of brothers. Let us know in the live chat what you guys think, and we'll give you a shout out there. But that's what we've got for you guys poll-wise.
I love it. And I did see Attila jump in. He said thank you to Alex and Kenny for college basketball. So that is, when I was saying so many things to get to, that is one more thing. Got to give credit where credit's due. Tulsa and
Tulane.
Tulsa. Yes, that was definitely my dad's that I threw on there. So good winners. And he had the under in the St. John's and Connecticut. And Bob got his over in the Knights game, which was a very exciting game. And it was nice to see the Knights get it done without their 5 Olympians. Love this poll question. Brian, did you think of anyone, did anyone jump out right away between all of the brothers, between the Kachuk and the Hughes brothers?
It would be the one that got some time on ice last night, and that would be Jack Hughes. He did have the assist to give the Devils their 1 goal and cost me my puck line there, but I would like to think that, yeah, having the game under his belt already, and going against a team that has yet to do so in Pittsburgh, I would think that Jack would be able to do it. But obviously the Chuck brothers, all 4 of them capable of scoring. Don't necessarily think Quinn will do it against a fired up Avalanche team tonight. So it would be more so a lean to Jack or either the Kachuk brothers.
Well, and Jack Hughes, pretty cool that he had Tage Thompson go out on the ice with him when because his first home game back was in New Jersey. So did a really nice thing for him there. And then Tage Thompson scores against them. So you're right, maybe a little bit of added motivation for him tonight in Pittsburgh. And then the other 2, it feels like Matthew Kachuk might have the best goalie to be going up against in Joseph Wall, if that is confirmed, expected, in Toronto, and them playing on a back-to-back looked not their best yesterday. We did have that one too. You gave out a lot that didn't make your whiteboard. I will definitely say that, because I ended up tailing that Tampa Bay puck line. Got a little dicey at the end there. That game got interesting, but there were definitely a few that we talked through, as we will today. All right, well, let's start it out. No DC yet, so we'll start off with the hockey slate, and then, as I mentioned, we will give out some college basketball towards the end of the show as well, and see when Dwayne is available and get him on to get his thoughts. I am excited to hear his reaction with the gold medal game and how awesome that was.
All right, well, we'll start in Pittsburgh with the first of those Hughes brothers. That would be Jack. On the road with his Devils in Pittsburgh, the second of a back-to-back for the Devils. Let me scroll down to current odds. We've got the Penguins as a minus 155 home favorite, plus 135 on the buyback for those Devils. And the total, I believe, is a 5.5. I'm just looking at the wrong. Yeah, 5.5 with a 125 to the over.
Yeah, 5.5 juice to the over. I have a 6 there, so not really interested in laying that just to get to that 6. Looks like it will be Markstrom going for the Devils tonight with Jack Allen going yesterday. Stuart Skinner, let me double check that. I got to triple check all my goalies these days because we had a couple that ended up switching late yesterday, but nothing really here. No Crosby for Pittsburgh, who I guess you kind of just forget, but looking at their stats, I mean, the points leader for this team, even at that age. So I do think that is going to affect them. If anything, it would be a lean to New Jersey here with getting a game under their belt. What about you?
I would like to think the same way, but watching, I don't know if it was really the Devils' offense struggling or it, being the first game back and having that rust. But it really kind of looked like they were not entirely there. So it would be kind of a look to maybe the under, getting the plus price there at that 5.5. But again, you get one goal from each team in each period. That would be over, and you'd get to the 6. So it is the third of 4 meetings between these two teams. The home team has won both of the prior 2. So it was a 2-1 shootout win for the Devils back in New Jersey in November, and the Penguins won 4-1 in their last meeting in Pittsburgh. That was January the 8th. So without Crosby, I don't want to lay the minus 155 for the Penguins to get it done. I do think this will end up being a tighter game, and I would be more inclined to taking the Devils, being that they have a game under their belt. So that 135 is tempting, but the lack of offense or lack of confidence in there being offense in this game, I would also be looking at that plus 105 there on the under.
Feels like a very good handicap to me. The Devils are on a 5-game under streak from before the Olympic break, and goals for on the road. Median number is 2.5. Goals against is 3, so that would definitely keep us under. I mean, I think you make a lot of good points there, and I didn't realize the earlier games between these two were all that low scoring. So. All right, well, let's take a quick break. I see DC is ready to chat with us, and I don't want to keep him waiting. So we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Dwayne Colucci joins us from the resort at Summerlin.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching. This is Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Alex White, Ryan McCormick, and now we bring in one of our favorites. You can visit him over at Summerlin, the resort at Summerlin. Dwayne Colucci. Also give him a follow at NYBookie Dwayne. He talks pucks. He talks ponies. He talks a lot on there, and you want to give him a nice follow to see what he's got. Dwayne, good to see you. I know you're super busy, but we really appreciate the time. Want to start with the gold medal game. USA gets it done. What are your overall thoughts there?
Oh, it was just tremendous excitement, and overall, it was just an amazing performance. Connor Hellebuck just came to play, and he shut down McKinnon and McDavid and those guys, and it was great to see the United States bring home the gold, and just to show how the landscape of the NHL is right now. That there are a tremendous amount of high-skilled United States players that were born here in this great country that could compete with the Canadian-born, the Russian-born, all that's out there. And it's just, so exciting. And it was a great, great tournament overall. I kind of thought Sweden would do a little better, but, the Final Four, it was what it was. And it turned out to be the final game that we all anticipated and wanted, especially with all the politics and everything going on throughout this country and our buddies up north. A lot of animosity, and the United States came through. And then, Hellebuck receiving an award from President Trump. That's just amazing. In itself, and kind of, shook the label of being a choker in the playoffs or what have you. But he is not surrounded by the greatest team. And if you see him surrounded by great players like he was on the United States team, you see how well he, excels. And it was just great to see him also get a gold medal. But tremendous, tremendous performance all around. And Jack Hughes and the speech last night, and just a feel-good story overall. And it was great to see both the men and the women succeed. Don't forget about the ladies. That was a tremendous performance as well. And definitely, overall, United States hockey is peaking right now. It's at a peak level. And, even despite not having the Russians represented in the Nations or the Olympics this year, it still was great. And Italy did a fabulous job. The ice was in tremendous condition. Hopefully the players that were injured, sort of come back. That's what we were talking about with Sidney Crosby and so forth. But, just a tremendous overall performance and a tremendous tournament for men's ice hockey in the Olympics.
Yeah, you talked about the Presidential Medal of Freedom there for Connor Hellebuck. I think my favorite part about it is that his new nickname is now the Secretary of Defense, which might be one of the best nicknames in the NHL. But I am curious if you think there will be now an even added impact to the games that are in Canada against these American teams, like your Canadians hosting the Islanders tonight. Is the crowd going to be even more involved, being that both the men's and women's American team beat their Canadian team, and if they're going to be kind of wanting to stick it to any American team that comes into those barns?
Well, the hockey fans in Montreal are very unique. I think that it's going to be more of a celebration of Slavkovsky, Suzuki, and Kapanen, who had tremendous performances in the Olympics. That's how the Canadians are. They want to embrace their players, the Habs, the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think that there'll be much animosity. They're not going to boo. They're going to boo regardless, the Islanders, but Patrick Roy is their head coach, and he's a legend in Montreal. So, I don't think there'll be heightened, booing and stuff, maybe with Jack Hughes when he goes there, and Hellebuck is, he's on Winnipeg. So I don't know what to make of that. But that's a great question, Ryan, because you have me fumbling a little. But I don't think that they'll go crazy. I think, we have to embrace what's going on. It can't always be about politics. This is the great game of the NHL. We got a third of the season to go. Let's go into the playoffs on a high note, and let's, see. Maybe a Canadian team can win this year. Maybe the Habs could hoist the cup, just like they did in 93, 94, the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup.
They are going to be very motivated, I'll tell you that. So I am excited, and you bring up great points. I really hope that we get more fans. We get more people that are interested in betting on hockey, because now I do think we got a lot more eyes from that Olympic and that great gold medal game, both of them, men's and women's, out there in Italy. Let's start with some games tonight, though. Dwayne, you were talking off air because we started with the Devils and the Penguins. You were thinking, Ryan and I were thinking, right, with maybe New Jersey getting a game under their belt, they'll be ready to go tonight.
Yeah, I kind of think so. Also, Pittsburgh is shorthanded. you're laying a big number there. I definitely look to take a nice plus in a situation that I feel the team could compete. And like you guys said, I think having the game under your belt definitely helps. You shake off the jitters. All the celebration will be put, kind of in the background. Sidney Crosby is not playing. He's the Penguins' best player. So, definitely this is going to be a good spot for the Devils tonight. I would love to take 135 here. I like the Devils in this matchup.
All right. Well, we'll ask you about your favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens, hosting the New York Islanders. We got it priced as a 145 favorite for the home team, Habs, and then a 125 on the Islanders there, and a total of 6.
Yeah, the Canadians were staying very healthy there, Ryan. If you watched, and especially on social media, they had somewhat of an all-star matchup. They had a skills competition with Arbor Jacki shooting 107 miles per hour. It said, a skating competition with Lane Hudson winning. So these guys are definitely in tremendous shape. I mean, Demidov looks like unbelievable. He's ready for this last third of the season. Cole Caulfield, the goaltending. So I think Montreal is well rested despite having 3 studs play in the Olympics. And Slavkovsky played as well as anybody in that complete tournament. So, I think Montreal minus 145 at the Bell Center. They're definitely going to come to play, but the Islanders are tough. Don't turn your back on the Islanders. Patrick Roy is definitely a head coach of the year candidate, rebounding this team who has had so many injuries. A very, very tough game, but I slightly give the edge to Montreal. I think they want to keep pace with Tampa, who already won last night. And now they've opened up an 8-point lead in that division. So you want to stay close. You don't want to fall too far behind. It's very important to win the division, especially with this current playoff structure. Now Tampa's 8 points ahead, but, Montreal 32-17-8. They've played tremendously. It's just the goaltending. Let's keep an eye on that, how it plays out in this last third of the season, whether it's Sam Montembeault, Dobish, or, even bringing Fowler back up. They have to keep their eye on this.
Speaking of that Atlantic Division, these two are at the bottom here. The Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Toronto looked very flat against Tampa, kind of woke up a little bit there in the third period. But what do you make of this one, Dwayne? I mean, it's crazy to see Florida minus 155, but I do think that number's correct and really don't know how I want to attack this game. Do you have anything?
I think Florida is going to play a lot better. I keep saying this, and I'm waiting for it to happen, but eventually it has to happen. The Maple Leafs now, they're on a back-to-back, but, you do shake off that rust, and that's very important. But the only reason they basically came down and scored was because Gunzel he missed a wide-open shot, and then there was a play back on the other end. They were able to light the lamp, Toronto. Then they scored after it was 4-1. So, Toronto is definitely a team that a head scratcher this year, and especially without Mitch Marner there. A lot of pressure on Austin Matthews and Nylander. The goaltending has been somewhat suspect. I like the Panthers in this matchup. I think they have to come out smoking in the second half here and make a statement if they want to retain their Stanley Cup and, that championship moniker. So definitely there's a lot of pressure now, but they're starting to get healthy. Keep your eye on that. The Panthers could put together wins in bunches just like Tampa does. I think these two Florida teams are the teams to watch and the teams to beat in the Eastern Conference. But Florida has to elevate their level. It's going to be very, very important moving forward. 10-1, as you could see on the graphic, to win the conference. Nobody thought it would get that high, but nobody thought Tampa would be this good at this point in the season. So I think the Panthers definitely are going to come out with a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to try every game. So that's what I love about this team. You got Kachuk back too, so I think the Panthers are a play.
All right, going back across the border where another American team is taking on a Canadian team, the Red Wings on the road in Ottawa. We have Ottawa as a minus 150 favorite, even though they're looking up at the Red Wings in the standings. You think it's worth it to take the plus price here?
Maybe, Ryan, but Ottawa, the only time they win is at home, and they've been dominant at home. So, they put together some great, winning streaks at home. And definitely, I think they want to win this game. They want to stay in somewhat playoff position. Red Wings are right there, though, right? They have 72 points, I believe, as well. So they're about 8 points behind Tampa as well. Very tough matchup, especially right off the bench. I kind of give Ottawa a slight favorite, and you could see that in the 150 line. But tough game, tough matchup. But Ottawa's much better at home than on the road.
Dwayne, I am curious your thoughts. So there are a couple matchups that we haven't got to yet. With just the slow starts, Red Wings and Senators, we brought up that, but Blue Jackets, Bruins, maybe Blackhawks, Predators. So neither of these teams played yesterday. It's their first game back from the Olympic break. Would you be looking at unders in any of those games and or maybe that first period under?
Yeah, it's tough to get a read, though. Look at all the games last night. They all went over, especially the West Coast games.
Yeah.
So, you saw a huge number in Anaheim. You saw a huge number in the Vegas Golden Knight game, 4-2 in the Toronto game. So that was 6 goals. Very tough to get a read on that, Alex. You bring up a great point, but sometimes the goaltenders are more rusty than the players, and you start to see odd man rushes and, guys tripping, errant passes, stuff like that. So I tend to think the overs are the way to go in these sort of situations when the teams are coming fresh off the bench. Maybe a little tighter game between Edmonton and the Kings tonight because both of those teams have played, Colorado, Minnesota, Colorado. They already played. So, it's tough to get a read off this Olympic break, and it only happens once every 4 years. So you have to keep that in mind as well. But a lot of these teams have played. When you look at the schedule tonight, teams like Philadelphia, teams like the Kraken. So, I just think the teams that are fresh off the bench will have a tendency to make a few more mistakes. The exception last night was that Devil game, but the Devils don't score much at all anyway. They're on a huge understreak. So a great point there and a great question, Alex. But I tend to favor the over and the mistake slightly when teams are fresh right off the bench.
Well, you mentioned the game where both teams are on a back-to-back, and that would be the Edmonton Oilers on the road in Los Angeles taking on the Kings. What do you think there with that matchup and it being a pick 'em price?
Yeah, that was a terrible loss last night, Ryan, for Edmonton and the Kings as well. The Kings had the game in their back pocket, but then Brandon Saad and the Golden Knights started to really impose themselves. Aiden Hill played solid too, but you could see how much Panarin means to the Kings. That line with Kopitar, and Kempe, it was just unbelievable. So I think the Kings have a slight advantage here. The Oilers are another head scratcher this year. They're just a team that can't, put it all together, in my opinion. And, constantly Connor McDavid playing the bridesmaid. He's coming out of the Olympics with a foul taste in his mouth. Golden Knights have a 6-point lead on them, which I think they should be able to maintain if they stay healthy. Tough game, but I'm going to take the Kings in this matchup, especially as a pick 'em.
Dwayne, I want to ask you about horse racing, if you have any pony picks or if you've even had a chance. And we can't blame you if you haven't had a chance to look yet today.
No, I always got time for the horses and time for you guys. 4th race at Oaklawn. Let's go with the 1 on my way to save the day. Definitely, just like Jack Hughes, he was on his way to save the day. This horse will be on his way. 5-2, Oaklawn, first race. David Jacobson, Torres in the saddle. Torres, 31 of 187, hitting at a 17% clip. That's amazing because Oaklawn is such a tough colony and a tough place to win up there in Hot Springs, Arkansas. But this kid has been very successful. David has been very cold, in my opinion, David Jacobson. I've given out a couple of his horses. They faltered. They finished second. He's always over bet. So I'm kind of starting from a money aspect and a money management aspect, starting to rein it in on this guy. But he should be able to win this race. Fourth race at Oaklawn, the 1 horse. Let's get it home.
And if you want more pony picks, you can find Dwayne on Race Day Las Vegas every Wednesday with Ralph Sirocco. So you can find him there. Dwayne, before we jumped on, you were talking about something happening over at your place next Tuesday, and I heard Derek England being there. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, next Tuesday, Derek England will be making the first official Caesars Resort at Summerlin sports bet. We're going to document that. We're going to have chants around for the Vegas Golden Knights and the Buffalo Sabres. It's going to be just a great time. Start time there of the game is 4 o'clock. It's just going to be a great celebration. Come out and check out the new odds board. Check out the restructuring of the Resort at Summerlin book. It's very exciting time, very busy time, especially right after the Super Bowl for me. So, just come on out and say hi, sign up for that mobile app, the $350 bonus. You got a couple of days left, so don't sleep on that. Definitely the place to be is the Resort at Summerlin, and we now have the Caesars sports betting menu. So come on out and enjoy, and we still got the great horse racing. I'm one of the biggest horse racing advocates out there. So you could still bet your horses here and on all of the kiosks. Don't forget that.
Love it. Yep. Go see Dwayne, and you want to take advantage of all of those sign-up deals whenever they happen at different books. So, Dwayne, we appreciate it. Try and get some sleep. I know you've been just 0 to 100 since the new year, but we really appreciate you checking in with us.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Ryan. You guys are the best. Always have time for Sports by the Book and the South Point. Definitely the best show. I say it time and time again. For sports betting, horse racing, the knowledge that Alex brings to the table. Her dad shows up. Eddie Olczyk shows up. Ryan is getting unbelievable with his selections and trends. Just keep watching us, guys. We're going to give you a lot of winners, and we're going to give you also the bookmaker's perspective, my side of the counter. Chris Andrews, Vinny Maiulo, no better bookmakers in the lineage of Las Vegas and in the history. So just keep that in mind. We've been doing this for quite a long time, and Chris and Vinny make me look like a youngster, and I'm mid-50s now. So just unbelievable knowledge on this show. Listen in each and every day.
Very good. Follow him on X at NYBookie. Dwayne, we appreciate you, Dwayne. All right, when we get back, we are going to finish the NHL slate here, and then we will look at some college basketball here on Sports by the Book. And Dwayne makes a great point, because I think this is the only show where you can get bookmakers actually telling you don't bet parlays. You can find that here on Sports by the Book, as always, live from the South Point. We'll be right back.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
I should correct myself, because it's not always no parlays, because of course I had a parlay going too with my round robins yesterday. It's just being careful, making sure you're checking the prices on there, and if it really equals out to the odds you should be getting. All right, but I want to check in with the chat. Bob Custer, thank you. It's okay. I didn't know who was on St. John's, but I feel like it's going back to last week, even when we had Vinny on the show, and he was talking about the prop bet for where the national championship, which conference, and we were talking about the 9-1. Is it 9-1? Yes.
Yes.
9-1, SEC 7-1, 9-1 for the Big East, and we've said UConn having them as well as St. John's and a few of those other teams. I can't believe that second half. That was pretty wild, and I think Ryan actually had a trend about that too. Everybody else in there, welcome. We appreciate you being here. I do see some people do like the overs. Agree with Dwayne there for hockey tonight, but we'll go through those, Ryan, and see if we can find any that we do love.
Yeah, you mentioned that St. John's number. They failed to make any of their final 24 shot attempts. So they did not make a basket from the 17-28 minute mark in the second half. Ended up losing to UConn 72-40. So yeah, not at all a good second half for the Red Storm on the road at UConn. But
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, not good for St. John's backers there, but good for the under. All right, so going back to our NHL slate, do you want to go right from where we were, or kind of pick up from games that we left off with DC?
That's a great question. Well, let's kind of go through it. Do you have anything for the Islanders or Canadians?
Not so much. I would like to see both those teams, how they kind of perform getting back in that one.
I agree.
So we can go down to Florida, where the Maple Leafs are on the road, -155 for the Panthers and 135 on that buyback. 6 is the total with a 120 to the over.
So I do actually have this one higher. I have it 6.5 between these two. Really, that number comes from Toronto more, with their median road number being 3.5, goals for being 3. They do have a game under their belt, so if anything, it's going over that 6 at -120. I've actually got 6.5 -115 to the over. So that's a pretty big difference there for me between those two. Sidewise, Ryan, I do have Florida -170 at home. So even though this is a Panthers team that is dead last, 61 points, 57 games, and 29-25 right there. 29-25-3, I'm sorry. Yeah, I still think they should be that big of a favorite. So nothing sideways. Lean to the over there at 6. What about you?
So this is the third of 4 meetings for these two teams this year. We did have Sean in the chat letting us know what those results were in the previous one, but Toronto has won both of those previous matchups. 4-1 was the final in both games, whether or not it was in Florida or Toronto. First game was in Florida. That was back in December, and the next one, the most recent one, was in Toronto. That was January the 6th. So Toronto winning 4-1 in both the previous matchups. Hard to think that they'd be able to do the same thing again tonight, although they are the ones with a game under their belt, as it's the second of a back-to-back for them. It is also the first of a back-to-back for the Panthers as they host the Buffalo Sabres tomorrow night. So it is a plus price there with the Maple Leafs, and you guys know I love taking plus prices, and kind of how they've played this year. I would think that the Maple Leafs could be able to do it again, but the Panthers know that they are not in playoff position and they need to get a run going, and they had the most Olympic players of any roster in the National Hockey League, so they have the talent on the roster. They have won back-to-back Stanley Cups, so they know what it takes to win games that you need to win. And that's where they're at in their year. They need to win the majority of the games left on their schedule. So hard to kind of pick against them and hard for me to actually lay the price with the Panthers. So it'll be a stay off for me, but I would be more looking at that 135 there with the Leafs.
Cannot fault you at all. I would imagine Austin Matthews will be playing tonight as well.
Yeah. All right. Going to Ottawa, where the Detroit Red Wings are on the road. It is the third of 4 meetings this year between these two. The Red Wings have won both of the previous instances. They won 5-3 in Ottawa back January the 5th, and then 4-3 in overtime in Detroit. That was January the 18th. But this one is priced as a -150 home favorite there with the Senators, a +130 on the Red Wings, and a total of 6 with a 115 to the under.
Ryan, I'm really curious. Can you tell me the results of those first 3 matchup between these two?
So, yeah, Detroit won the first one 5-3 in Ottawa, and then 4-3 in overtime in Detroit. Those were both within a 2-week span in the middle of January.
Okay, so 2 of 3, and then tonight. So Red Wings are going for the sweep here.
They have one more after this.
One more after this. They should have 4 per division. Because my numbers actually lean to taking that plus price there with the Red Wings. I guess not really. I give the Senators -128, but the buyback is +130. So without the straddle, I think that number right there is correct. Not enough for me to jump in with Detroit. I do have a lean to the over as well. I've got 6.5 under 20. So a little bit of a difference there. Senators, their median goals for at home is 3.5. So that's a lean, but nothing other than that. It just, feels like that number's a little steep here for the Senators, who are below Detroit in the standings, but maybe that's a desperation and them losing the first 2 games. What is their home record? 14-10-4. And then on the road, though, Detroit 15-9-4. So that's it. I'm going to stay away because of that. If I was getting a little bit more with the dog there. What about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot. If I was getting a 140, 145, I would love it with the Wings here. I've come to trust them throughout this season, so I do like what that team has been doing. But the Senators were doing really well heading into the break. They were winning games that weren't necessarily getting themselves out of the hole that they dug themselves to begin the year. So the break came at the right time for the Red Wings, who were really struggling going into it, and the wrong time for the Senators, who were playing on fire going into it. So this one will ultimately end up being a stay away if I was getting more from the Red Wings, or if you can do better than a 130, 135, if you can get 140, I would jump in on the Red Wings here. All right, going to the next one, which would be in Boston, where we have a 115 home favorite, 105 for the Blue Jackets, and a 6.5 with a minus 120 to the under.
It is interesting. Boston was on a 9-game home winning streak before that break. Did lose 2 on the road, though. On the other side, the Blue Jackets won 7 straight before the break, and 5 were on the road. Number-wise, I think we're just right here. I've got minus 118 and 6.5. So another one where I'm leaning to the over. So whoever agreed that they like the overs tonight, I just always worry about betting Boston games over. But it's right there. What about you, Ryan? Anything?
So this one is kind of in the same instant or same vein as the last one. It is not necessarily in the meetings. It's the first meeting of the year between these two, first of 3. But the break came at the worst time for the Blue Jackets, who had won 7 straight and had won 11 of 12 since firing their head coach, and a really good time for the Bruins, who were really struggling. They had played 4 of 5 games, 4 of their last 5 games before the break, going to overtime and losing 3 of those 4, blowing the game in the Stadium Series in Tampa to the Lightning. So, confidence boost, or a much needed break for the Bruins, kind of getting everything back together and bringing that roster back together. However, the Blue Jackets have kind of made it very clear that they were perfectly fine with the head coaching change, and pretty excited about the head coaching change. So I would like to think that with the break and with the days of practice going into this, that they're going to be pretty fired up and kind of taking it as a completely new season with this head coach. So I would be looking at the Blue Jackets here, being able to get things done in Boston, even though I know I've been trusting the Bees this year. So it'll be a look to the Blue Jackets for me.
Well, you know what? My original, I had the wrong 2 goalies, which now I'm seeing confirmed, is Merzlikins and Korpisalo. So no Jeremy Swayman. And I thought it was going to be Jet Greaves on the other side. That kind of switches should adjust for both. And I mean, then you're right there. It's a pick 'em, but I'm with you. I think that was great handicap, especially when you fire a coach at the middle of the season and you don't get any of that practice time, and then you have a break like that. So it would be Columbus for me. I probably won't get involved in that one though, as we keep it going.
Reverse puck line, which I don't necessarily recommend being this game is in Boston, but it would be plus 220 there for the Blue Jackets to win by 2 there in Boston. All right, going to Carolina, where the Lightning are on the second of a back-to-back, but it's the first game back for the Hurricanes. The Canes are a minus 145 home favorite and a plus 125 for the Lightning, and a total of 6 with a 115 to the over.
Looks like it will be Bussy, not Freddie Anderson for Carolina. That doesn't change a whole lot for me because Brandon Bussy's been awesome. On the other side, though, it will be the backup in Johansson. So that leans me to Carolina here, even though Tampa's already gotten a game under their belt. Lean, I mean, I've got a minus 153 at home. I've also got a little bit of a lean to the over here. I've got 6.3, which is 6.5 under 20. So, I mean, if anything, though, if you made me play this game, I'd probably just bet Carolina money line and maybe sprinkle a little bit on the puck line. But Tampa's hard to go puck line against.
Two-way action. This is one of several road teams that I like today. Getting a plus 125 there for the Lightning after they have a game on their belt, under their belt. They dominated Toronto last night. They had a 3-0 lead. Jake Getzel could have scored an empty netter to make it 4. He hits the post and slips, and then it's an odd man rush the other way. Toronto scores, makes it 3-1, and then 13 seconds later, Tampa adds a goal to make it 4-1. And then just before the clock expires, a minute before the clock expires, it's 4-2, and that's what your final was, and we got a push on the total. But I like Tampa here, plus the 125. I'll even look at that reverse puck line because, Tampa had won 19 of 21 going into the break. You now have a game under your belt. So I know you respect the Carolina Panthers and like that roster a lot, but I'll be looking at the Lightning here, and it's a plus 295 for the reverse puck line. You'll be seeing that on my whiteboard.
Yeah, I think I still have Tampa a little undervalued, and you're right. The Canes continue to be overvalued year after year, so I'm going to stay away. But honestly, yesterday, Toronto, that plus price looked tempting to me against Tampa, and you went the complete opposite, and you were on the right side, and I followed. I tailed that. So I could see it happening again here.
All right, going up to Madison Square Garden, where the Rangers are hosting the Flyers. Rangers are a minus 140 home favorite, despite their home struggles in Madison Square Garden this year, and a total of 6 with a 110 either way.
And the Rangers get a big boost now after the break because they get Igor Shesterkin back. We have not seen him since beginning of January. So originally my number was Rangers minus 108. I would adjust that up a little bit. It's still a little high. I think minus 140 is still steep here. And the Flyers coming off a game from last night. So if anything, it would be the dog in this one. But I'm going to stay away. And this is probably one of all of them that I could get involved with the under here with these two.
So I mentioned the Rangers' home struggles. They are 6-15-4 in Madison Square Garden this year. That would be 6-19 on the money line. I get they're getting Shesterkin back, but I don't think they should be a minus 140 favorite here. It's also the third of 4 meetings between these two teams, and the Rangers have won both of them. So kind of contradicting myself a little bit here. The Rangers won 5-4 in a shootout back in December, and then they won 6-3 in Philadelphia on January the 17th. It's a back-to-back for the Flyers. They have a game under their belt. The Rangers are not good in their building for some reason. So it would be a look to the Flyers here getting that plus 120. But it might be a case of they can't beat this team. I would like to think that the Flyers having a game under the belt does give them a little bit of boost, and the Rangers traded Artemi Panarin, so they don't have their best player anymore. Granted, they sat him for a couple games before the break in order to get him traded and get that roster kind of used to what they'd be playing like without him. So, yeah, take all that for what it is. I will more than likely not be betting on this game, as it is kind of the Rangers are a pretty bad team and the Flyers have struggled going into the break. So, but I would be tempted by that plus 120.
I thought the Flyers, they held up. They were very competitive yesterday against the Capitals. So I agree with you. That would be the only way to play it. Taking a shot there, getting the plus price.
All right, going to St. Louis, where the Kraken are on the second of a back-to-back. They are getting a plus 115 price as they're on the road, and the Blues are laying a minus 135 on the money line. The total is 5.5 with a 130 to the over.
Man, I wish I was getting more than plus 115. I might have to look reverse puck line, kind of take a page out of Ryan's book here. But who are the Blues to be favored over anyone? I disagree there, and it's not like they have Binnington. It will be Hofer in between the pipes. And on the other side, and I apologize because Ryan liked the Kraken yesterday. We thought it would be Philip Grubauer. It wasn't. He will be going tonight. I feel like they kind of saved him for this spot. They're the better team. They didn't look good yesterday by any means, but that was the Stars. This is a big drop off to the Blues. So I do like the Kraken. My total's right there at 5.5. Not quite juiced that high to the over, but I do like the Kraken. I just got to shop around and see if I can get plus 120, and maybe sprinkle a little bit on the reverse puck line.
That reverse puck line, you're getting a plus 260 over at a different book in town. It is the second of 3 meetings between these two teams. Seattle won the first 4-3 in overtime. That was also here in St. Louis, but that was back at the start of November, so not much to kind of take into account. But getting a plus 260 price there is very tempting for a game for a team that has a game under their belt and a Blues team that has really struggled this year. And Alex made the best point and the key words of who are the Blues to be this big of a favorite in this game. We've also moved off of the 140 that it was earlier this morning to that 135. So a little bit of action there on the Kraken.
Wow. Good. Yeah. Okay. So going in our direction, Blues second worst in regards to points on the year, 28-9 record coming into this. So I am going to take a little bit of that plus 260.
All right. Going to Nashville, where the Preds are hosting the Blackhawks. Predators minus 165 on the money line, 145 on the buyback for the Blackhawks, a total of 6 with a 120 to the over.
It looks like Saros will be playing tonight, is expected. I did read, though, that there might have been some travel issues for the two Predator guys. If it is Saros, though, I would definitely like to go under here. Spencer Knight has been fantastic all year for Chicago. And then these guys that played over in the Olympics, Saros, he won a bronze, right?
With Finland, yes.
So the guys that played over in the Olympics, goalie-wise, we saw it after 4 Nations last year. They did really well after that tournament. So I think that they will be ready to go here. So I lean to the under. My numbers are right there. I've got 6 under 15. So a little bit getting a plus price there, going under 6. Chance to push. Sidewise, I'm right there. I've actually got Predators minus 170, but not a huge difference. What say you, Ryan? What are you thinking for the Blackhawks?
So the Hawks only had one player go over and play in the Olympics, and that would be Teuvo Teravainen, Turbo. He was Saros' teammate on Finland. So the rest of the Hawks roster has got to kind of practice and kind of get to a closer knit. They're a young group of guys anyway, so they've been kind of a band of brothers there with the Blackhawks. This is the third of 4 meetings between these two teams, and the road team has won each one of those. Nashville won 4-3 in Chicago, and Chicago won 3-0 in Nashville, but that was on January the 10th. I love my Hawks, so I would be looking at that plus 145, although I did make the argument this morning with you, Alex, was that the Predator, talking about the Hawks being a super young team, the Predators are a pretty veteran-led roster. So you would think that the guys would know how to kind of stay in rhythm, get back in rhythm, all that kind of stuff. Although it might be they are older, they might not have the step, they might not be able to get back in the rhythm just like that. So it would be a look to the road team winning the third consecutive meeting between these two teams.
Well, my other thought was with Connor Bedard, and I believe he didn't go because that injury, right?
So that is kind of the belief that he didn't get enough NHL time. But there's also a theory out there that Bedard didn't participate in the World Juniors for Team Canada, but Macklin Celebrini did, and apparently Sidney Crosby did not like that Bedard did not want to participate for the country in that tournament. So why would he get the spot to participate for the country on the biggest stage? So he kind of, I don't know. I might be reading into things too much and kind of the pride in the countrymen, but I definitely agree with you that Bedard is going to feel snubbed and want to prove his kind of worth to the rest of the league here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been all the Celebrini talk.
Yep.
And the young player that showed out. So I think he should have a pretty good last third of this season. So lean as well. I'm actually going to take the under. No lean. Under 6. Even money there. I think we'll have a tighter battle between those two.
Yeah, especially two teams that have kind of struggled to score on spots, and it's their first game back. So, good look there. All right, going to Colorado, where the Wild are on the road against the Avalanche. Avalanche minus 145 favorite at home, plus 125 for the Wild, and a total of 6 with 115 to the over.
This is tough. I'm right there, a little bit higher, minus 155 for Colorado at home. That's not very much getting back on the Wild there, but I do just feel wise. I kind of like Minnesota in this spot. Colorado, good win over Utah yesterday, 4-2. They did end up going with Wedgwood, so it will be Mackenzie Blackwood tonight. On the other side, Gustafson going for the Wild. I think this is going to be a tight battle to the end. I'm not going to bet it, but I do lean Minnesota. They had plenty of guys over there as well, and were playing good before the break. They had won 5 in a row. So nothing for me, just more of a feel going with the Wild. Ryan, side total, anything jump out for you?
Not exactly. I'll kind of make the same argument that I did last night with the Avalanche being fired up, being led by Nathan McKinnon, Marty Necas, and Cale Makar.
He was the only one that did not play, though, right?
I believe so.
So
Not 100% sure on that.
he'll, I'm sure, be back tonight.
And second of a back-to-back, first game back for the Wild. It's also the first of a back-to-back for the Wild as they are in Utah tomorrow night. However, it is the third of 4 meetings between these two teams, and both of the previous 2 were in Minnesota, meaning that these next 2 will both be in Colorado. Minnesota won the first one 3-2 in a shootout back in November, and Colorado dominated the second one 5-1 in December. So been a while since these two teams have met up, but I would like to think that kind of the Wild fans will make enough noise about Quinn Hughes. And yeah, Colorado, the leadership group of that team is going to be pretty hungry going forward and to finish this regular season. So it's going to be hard to kind of confidently bet against them. So that's where my mind's at for that one.
That's the game that you're going to want to have on your TV, though.
Yes, absolutely.
That is going to be a good one. Couple more.
Going to San Jose, where the Sharks are hosting the Flames. Sharks are a minus 125 home favorite, plus 105 for the Flames. A total of 6.5 with a 122 the under.
All right, so this one, my number's right there, minus 123 and 6.5 under minus 115. So I didn't spend too much time diving into this one. The first game for both of them back. Kind of like to see what we get. Got to imagine the Sharks are feeling good, pretty fired up, and Celebrini can continue that spark that he's brought them all year. They didn't end the season, didn't end the first 2/3 before the break very well. They lost 4 in a row. So kind of to your point, Ryan, with these other teams, break was at the right time for them. Maybe a restart here for San Jose. Is that the way you were looking?
Yes, it is. And that is also because it is the 4th and final meeting of the year between the two teams, and the home team has won every single meeting. Calgary won 2-0 in November. San Jose won 6-3 in December, and Calgary won 3-2 in their last one, and that was in the final day of January. So a little bit more of a recent matchup there with Calgary winning 3-2. But it would be a look, to the Sharks getting it done here. I think it's a really short price, being them being a minus 125 here at home against this Calgary Flames team. So it'll be, it's a play here with the Sharks minus the 125.
I like it. I'm sure you'll have a little bit of the puck line. Getting a plus price.
Could be. We did have Jay Main in the chat letting us know that he might be on that Sharks minus the 1.5. All right, going to the final one of the night. This would be the 7:37 puck drop. It is a pick'em between the Oilers and Kings. Minus 110 both ways on the money line, and minus 110 both ways on the total of 6.5.
I just looked over and saw Bob Custer's question about, will Ryan have any games going to a tie overtime? Is this the one?
It might be. Let me figure out what that price is. But it is the second of 3 meetings between these two, and the first one of the year did go to overtime, went to a shootout, and the Kings won that one in Edmonton.
Jeez, I thought I sounded familiar there. I actually have the Kings minus 150 at home. I did take some off for being Connor Ingram in net. Should be Darcy Kemper. Yes, expected. So it's tough. Both of them terrible losses. The Kings more, I think, embarrassment because the Knights were missing so many key guys and they still lost. The Oilers was a brutal loss in that third period. So sidewise, I don't know if I want to get involved, but value-wise, I think it's the Kings. Ryan, what do you think?
So that is it's a pick 'em on the game, meaning that the line thinks that it will be a pretty tight game, and you're getting a plus 305 here in town for this game to go to overtime. Looks like Bob is seeing a plus 350. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, we'll go with that. This one going to overtime.
All right, SBTB, stamp of approval. I'm jumping in a little bit too. A lot comes down to the goalie too, and I really don't trust either. I do trust both teams to be in it till the end. Tie it up, force overtime. So very good. Okay. We do have to, we'll kind of go quick through college basketball. Didn't realize we're already at an hour, but it was really good to get to catch up with Dwayne Colucci. I've got a couple situational spots. If you want to know any games, no extra board games we're going through. And then a lot of the West Coast kind of missed my card today. So if you're thinking you want to know some numbers for a UC Irvine or anything like that, please put it in the chat. But going through the top of the list here, I'm going Conference USA and Coastal Athletic. So looking at their conference tournament rules and them coming up kind of helped lead to some of these. It had to match the power rating numbers though as well. So let me put my hockey sheet down. Gonna save that to the desktop. And then we'll get moving, I swear. Maybe Ryan's ready and he can help lead me here. Okay, first and foremost is Liberty. Now, Liberty has pretty much locked up the 1 seed. They actually have a share of the 1 seed regardless. They've got about a 3.5 game lead on the next team. They've got Kennesaw at home. This one is pushing it to actually have a difference there. My number's 1.5. Kenny White's number is 2. No, Kenny White's number is 1 for Liberty, taking the 2 here. So I lean there with Kennesaw. They lost the first matchup. They need it more. They're tied for 4th right now in that seeding for CUSA. So I think they'll be the more desperate team, catching 2 points, maybe a little bit on the money line. So Kennesaw State, I put lean. I'll tell you my favorites and what makes the whiteboard, but that's a lean. It might make the betting card or a round robin there. Keeping it going to Coastal. So going to Stony Brook. So Coastal, they are the first 4, get a double bye. 5 through 11 get a bye going into the tournament. It is in Washington, D.C. Stony Brook has revenge. Right now they are 4th. They're the 4 seed in this conference, where Monmouth is 6th. So you're getting points with home revenge, where Stony Brook lost the first one at home. Team that has been playing better down the stretch, you're getting points. I think they could win this one as well. So I'm taking the 4 points with Stony Brook. That one is a guaranteed bet on the board. Keeping it going. Let's go to a Southern Conference here. Chattanooga is making my board for the first time. 1 through 6 get a bye in this one. We've got NC Greensboro that is 7th right now in the conference, and Chattanooga that is 8th. And you're just getting Chattanooga is the team like we were looking at yesterday. So they lost the first matchup on the road. Now they get a chance for revenge at home. The numbers do match. I've got 6.5. Kenny White's got 7.5. So I'm going to lay the points there and take a shot and try and keep those favorites. Try to be on the right favorites to cash too. Okay, Ryan, I've just got 2 more. One more for Conference USA with Delaware and Jacksonville State. This is another lean here with Delaware. They've got the home revenge from the first matchup. Think it's too many points. It's going against us. Jacksonville is tied for 4th. So they will be motivated to keep that spot. That might be why some people are playing that way. On the other side, though, Delaware is trying to just make it into their conference tournament. So they are the very desperate team. That's the one that could be must win, must not be very good. They are 12th right now. And Conference USA, I believe, only takes the top 10. So right now they're out of it, but they could catch the 10th one, but their schedule is brutal. This is the one that they would have to win and one more, which would be even tougher. I'm going to keep that one off of my card just because betting on bad teams, but catching 8 with Delaware, that is a big lead. Last but not least is Drexel. I do like this one. This is my second favorite. Now it moved to 2. I liked the one. They lost the first matchup on the road. They are 5th right now in the conference. Campbell is tied for 7th, so both of them are going to be pretty desperate in this one, trying to play for seeding here. I like the home team. They can catch Stony Brook too, Drexel, and get that 4 seed, and get an even better position in the tournament. 1 through 4 get a double bye. So, like that favorite. I liked it better at 1. Maybe shop around. Maybe there's still a, or money line. I'll just take Drexel on the money line to win that game outright. But that is it. I did see we have a request for the one Big Ten.
The ranked on ranked matchup today. We got Michigan State, the number, let me make sure, 13 team in the country. Yeah, number 13 team in the country at the number 8 Purdue Boilermakers. This one was requested by Dean Hilt. Talking about 803, 804, which would be Purdue as a 7.5 point home favorite here at the South Point. Total of 142 in that battle against Michigan State.
I looked at this last night too and pulled out Kenny White's power rating sheet as well. Hate to see it. You know, I like the Spartans. He made Purdue 10 at home here. So it feels like a ton of points. You want to get involved there with Tom Izzo's team. But it's right. And if anything, it's probably the right side. Both of them are playing good. Of course, Michigan State had that little stumble, but they have won 3 of their last 4. And Purdue, let me get the exact number here. Oh, yeah. They won 5 of their last 6, with the only loss being to Michigan. So that's pretty good. So I'm going to stay away, but power rating wise, looks like it should be a play on the favorite. Wow, Purdue is only 5-10 ATS at home, though. So that, maybe you want to look into that, seeing how they are doing covering those numbers. As of late, has been better, and they have played a lot more road games. Definitely covered against Indiana coming into this one. Okay, Ryan, I will write up my college basketball if you will take us through ticker trivia and the poll question, and then we can give our whiteboard place.
Sure. The one thing I did want to mention, just kind of the look-ahead spot for Purdue and Michigan State. Purdue is looking at Ohio State and Northwestern coming up, and then I believe they end their season with Wisconsin. So not Wisconsin would be the biggest test for them there. Michigan State would be looking at on the road at Indiana, at home against Rutgers, and then finishing their year on the road at Michigan in that in-state rivalry matchup there between Michigan State and Michigan. So, but next on the forefront would be Ohio State for Purdue and Indiana on the road for Michigan State there with that one. So going to our ticker trivia, presented by City Light Shine, available at Lee's Discount Liquor, Total Wine, and here at the South Point Hotel and Casino. It was a baseball question. It was a spring training baseball question. So in terms of fan capacity, what is the largest ballpark built specifically for spring training that is in use today? And we did get the correct answer in the chat because it was boasting a capacity of 15,000 fans. Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona is the largest of the spring training ballparks. The facility opened in 2014 and is the spring training home of the Chicago Cubs. The dimensions of the field closely resemble those of Wrigley Field in Chicago. And Attila was the one to let us know that correct answer of Sloan Park down in Mesa. As the ticker trivia presented by City Light Shine, talking about the largest spring training ballpark in use today. And that would be the answer of Sloan Park, shouted out by Attila. Given today's poll results, talking about Family Feud and the brothers that played for Team USA over the Olympics, these sets of brothers. Which team with a Hughes or a Kachuk brother do you like tonight? And that would be the Devils on the road in Pittsburgh, getting a plus 135 price there. The Wild getting a plus 125 price on the road in Colorado. The Panthers at home laying a minus 155 against the Maple Leafs, and the Senators laying a minus 150 at home against the Red Wings. And it was split between, I believe, the oldest of the brothers. That would be Quinn Hughes when the Wild at a plus 125 and Matthew Tkachuk with the Panthers minus 155 there, both getting 36% of the vote. So it's split between the Wild and Panthers there. If the chat wants to tie those up in a parlay and get those an even bigger plus price there, good for you, chat.
That's the plan.
The chat's been good, so I mean, if you're tying it up there with the votes, may as well tie them up together and get a nice $2.
All-time record. The chat is very good. A lot of sharps there.
We do also have some mentions from Sean in the chat saying he loves Tarleton State to cover the first half at Utah Valley plus the 10. A little whack basketball there because are those exact scores? Oh, no, first half final scores. Okay, so UVU only won by 3 in the first half in their first of 5. UVU won by 3 in the next. Tarleton won by 1. UVU by 3. It looks like UVU by 3. And Tarleton ended up winning by 10 in their last one. So, yeah, Sean going with Tarleton State plus the 10 in the first half at Utah Valley.
Okay. If I need another one to add in for a round robin, I'm going to have to tail Sean on that. All right, Ryan, you want to kick it off or you want me to start off for our whiteboards today?
I can get it going. As we have all 6, well, the board is all 6 NHL plays today, and we got the Devils getting it done in Pittsburgh plus the 135 there. The Blue Jackets getting it done in Boston minus 105. The Lightning getting it done in Carolina minus the puck and a half there, getting a plus 295 price. The Flyers on the road in New York plus 120. The Kraken on the road in St. Louis getting a plus 115. So we love the road teams today. And then, yeah, Bob, you pointed it out. So we'll go with the Oilers and Kings to go to overtime. Please let us know in the chat where you got the 350. Going with the 305 here, but yeah. If we can get the 350 down here in Vegas, I might have to switch those 2 digits.
Very good. All right, I'll follow that. I do have 5 hockey on my board, but I did put half a unit size down here because I will not be betting big amounts on these, especially these 2 at the end where I am jumping in with Edmonton and the Kings going to overtime. I guess I probably should have put that OT. Taking a chance with the Kraken, minus 1.5 plus 260. Devils, just money line for them to win outright. Best number we're seeing with that is plus 135. Looks right. Plus 135. Toronto and Florida over 6. Chicago, Nashville under 6. And then I've got 3 college basketball. I forgot about one of them from the Ohio Valley. Home revenge here, and both of these teams fighting for that 4 seed. So I'm going. Sorry, I keep going down to up. But Tennessee State, we're taking the points there with them against SE Missouri State, Southeast Missouri State. Home revenge. I think they're about rated the same as well. So plus 4 there. I'm going with the number 4 too. Chattanooga at home laying the 4, and then Stony Brook plus 4 for another revenge in that one against Monmouth. Okay, that's it for us. Ryan, anything else in the chat?
Yeah, we do have Joey B letting us know that he is going against his Colorado team, the Wild, getting the puck and a half against the Avalanche because the Avalanche didn't get back to Denver until 2:30 a.m. last night, even though they were only coming over from Utah. But the Wild have been in Denver for over a day. So thinks the Avs will be tired and the Wild will be rested. So taking the puck and a half there with the Wild against the Avalanche.
I do like that, definitely. I think that is going to be a 1-goal game. So, and I was leaning to the Wild anyways.
We also have JR letting us know South Dakota State versus Missouri, Kansas City, which Kansas City is 5-20 against the spread this season. So the worst in college basketball. So looks like it's a look there for South Dakota State there against UMKC.
Okay.
Did also want to point out that we do have this week's Gone Racing coming up here today. That'll be live over on the Gone Racing YouTube page at Gone Racing, talking about the NASCAR races this weekend. So that'll be a fun show, and they did have some winners this last week, so getting back on that positive side. So you'll want to tune into that if you are a NASCAR fan or like making money. Go to Gone Racing at Gone Racing over here on YouTube.
And then we are back tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. It will be a little bit of a quicker show. So if you do like to watch us live, please make sure you're ready to go. 10 a.m. Pacific time. For most of us, have to get out to the Las Vegas ballpark for the Las Vegas Classic. Again, college baseball all weekend long out there. U of A, Vanderbilt, UC Irvine, and Oregon. So should be a great round robin tournament out there. And then just a couple weeks from now, because February is almost over, just 2.5 more days. Sunday, March 1st. And then coming up a few weeks after that, March 19th through the 21st, the most massive madness party in Vegas. You want to get here to the South Point, where it is free parking, plenty of screens, plenty of seating. Exhibit hall holds everybody. You don't have to go down to the book to make your bets. They have plenty of betting windows and kiosks, free parking, free entry, food and drink specials. So make sure you put that in the calendar as well. For the first weekend of March Madness is the best. Thursday, Friday, basketball all day long. And then Saturday, Sunday if you want to keep it going. But all right, that's it, Ryan. That's our Thursday. JR said hopefully Puddles will be at the ballpark.
I think Jerry's hoping the same thing.
If Joey B has time to set the odds, because the no is a pretty big favorite, I'm gonna guess on that one. But should be a good time. We'll see JR out there as well. Thank you to the crew and Jerry, Sean, Vince, and Andrew. For Ryan McCormick, I'm Alex White. Thank you to Dwayne Calici for joining us, as he always does, at least once a week. We appreciate him. Tomorrow, short show, so we may not get a bookmaker from the South Point. We'll save Chris Andrews for Monday, so that is a nice little tease there. Good luck, everybody. Let's catch some tickets. Let's keep the good vibes going. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.